No, what's interesting to me is what are you guys? I mean, you guys grew up with Indian food. What do you love? What is the great food that you love?
So, I can start, Venu, if
Okay.
that's okay.
You got
So
a whole.
growing,
You
what's
got
that?
you sent us that list.
Oh man, I got a list. Okay,
You got a list?
so yeah, I sent that list of like my Indian food stories
Yeah.
because, so I guess, all right. So growing up, right, in the
Yeah.
80s. So right now, okay, in the 80s, we didn't really have a lot of Indian food stores
I was
here.
gonna say, where did you find it?
Where did we find it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Devon Avenue
it-
in Chicago.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
What?
Dude, Little
What'd you say
India.
then? I'm sorry.
Devon Avenue in Chicago. It was like north side,
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say that was the strip where you went and all the Indian stores were. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so every Sunday, I recall this very clearly. Every Sunday, we would take a trip out to Devon,
Yeah.
and there were like a couple of stores. There was Kamdar Plaza,
Yes.
and then I can't remember the name of it. There was
That
another
wasn't far
store.
from my house, actually. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we would take a
Yeah.
trip every Sunday, and we would pick up our Indian groceries there, and then we
Yeah.
would have. So my dad loved. He loves pan, which is like
Oh
a,
yeah.
yeah, pan. So
Yeah.
it's got all
Actually, I
those.
like that.
Oh, there you go. That's
Yeah,
something.
I actually
Yeah,
like that.
that you can handle.
that's
Yeah, that I
yeah.
can
You can have,
handle.
yeah. So we'd get our Indian groceries. We would have some like nasto, like snacks and stuff on Devon, and then my dad would always get pan from one of the stores there. So make it fresh, right? Lay out the pan, put the beetle
Yeah.
nut, put everything, all the spices in there, and we would have that.
Wow.
And then my dad would give me like a tiny piece of pan, and I always remember that flavor, like so good, right?
Wow.
So, but that was the only place in the 80s that we could go get.
I was gonna say Devon was the only place I could
that
think
was
of.
it. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
like you turn every corner, you'll see an Indian store somewhere.
Is
Like
that
you'll see it.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
So,
there's one around here, because it is
oh,
Iowa,
true, true.
You know,
Yeah.
when I lived in Naperville, though, they were cropping up a lot because we had a very large um, population of
Yeah. Indian
Indians
population. Yeah.
growing up out there, and a lot of my kids' friends were Indian, and they got introduced to it, and they loved the food,
Yeah.
which I never understood because I thought they were, acorns off my tree, not off their mothers, but
And Tommy, you were raised on mayonnaise, so that was quite a
yeah.
conundrum.
Hey, I got a question for you. This is always a question that I've had when I lived in London. People would always say, "Hey, Tom, do you want to go out for curry?" And I was like, I thought curry was a spice, not a food. And they're like,
That's a
they would say it like it was pizza. Like, you want to go for some curry? What does that
yeah.
mean?
What does that mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we don't say that, right? Right, Venu? We
Right.
don't say we're gonna go out for some curry. So
yeah. This was
curry,
a London thing that I
right?
never got. Yeah, we're gonna go for some curry, and I thought it just generally meant Indian food or something like that.
Right. Probably to them it did. I don't know. We don't,
Because as a spice, I happen to like curry. I think curry's a great spice. I like to put it in things, but I was like, I've never heard it referred to as a like
no. I
pizza
haven't.
or
No,
snacks or something, going out
no,
for some
haven't heard
curry.
that. No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah,
But
it was really
curry,
weird.
Curry,
so yeah,
I
go
think it
ahead,
just
Vanu.
was like a British
there's
slang
no
thing for Indian food.
Yeah.
curry.
There's no spice that's curry. Right,
No,
Vanu?
not
That's where
really.
you're going. Yeah.
No,
Vanu, hit it.
there is no spice called curry.
Well, you can buy a spice that's called curry. I don't know if it's really a traditional spice or not. I think it's just meant
It's
to be
not.
like an Indian spice that you can throw in things. I don't think there's
Right.
a real spice called curry, like it comes
Right.
from a plant or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But curry is not one specific thing. It could be anything. There's spinach curry. There's chicken curry, lamb.
Mhm.
The potato curry, mother paneer, which I love, is like cheese. Paneer is like a type of cheese and like sauce. So it's like it's no one specific thing.
I think the most often I've heard it is as almost like a verb. It's a curried chicken or it's a curried lamb. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay, well, that must be a technique rather than a spice.
Right.
Like you curry something. And I don't know what that, I don't know. It's one of those things that evades me.
Yeah, and I think so what you were saying is that it's a British thing. So
Yeah.
I think that when
Well,
the British invaded and
yeah.
they
I was
got
going to
to
say,
know,
under British control, maybe they added some lingo in there that just
right,
doesn't really make sense anymore.
right, yeah, that was their, I guess that was their term for the taste of the
Well,
Indian food, right? It's a
I think so.
curry.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a slang thing. We're going to go out for curry.
Yeah.
It's like,
I've heard
Yeah.
that here too. I've heard that here too.
Yep.
so, Vadu, your family's from where
Well,
in India?
I was born in Hyderabad, but my
Oh,
family.
okay. So we know the
So
same spots. Yep.
yeah, so they're from a nearby village there.
Okay.
So they
Yeah.
grew up in the villages and then moved on for like college or work to Hyderabad. And then my brother and I were born there. You apparently did not have fun with the food over there.
No, when I was in
Mayonnaise.
Hyderabad, it was when it became the epicenter of like Deloitte and Microsoft and everything. It was just the
Yeah,
big tall buildings,
Yeah.
with desks and desks of,
I got pictures
data
of that area.
processors and people like that. And I stayed at the Marriott. So, you can go to the Marriott and get a BLT and you're perfectly happy.
Yeah.
I did have to learn how to eat the food because before I went, the Deloitte, who I worked for at the time, they made sure that we had been introduced to all the Indian culture so that we'd be comfortable when we went over
Oh,
and
wow.
stayed there. And I love the culture in general. I think it's wonderful. I love visiting all around. I went to Mumbai. I went down to Agra. I went, all over the place. But they're like, and what would you like to eat? Something off the buffet at the Marriott.
Yeah.
I'm just terrible that way. And I'm usually really good with trying other cultures' foods, but I don't know why. Indian
didn't
food,
work out.
Ethiopian food.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out. Well, you know what? Ethiopian
Keep by the
food.
bathroom, please.
Yeah. But Ethiopian food and Indian food have a lot of commonalities.
They do.
Yeah.
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 It's very similar in my mind, anyways.
Yep. They do. And similar spices, a similar style of eating, like tearing the
Yeah.
injera bread and taking
Yeah,
the vegetable.
and the
Yeah.
clay pots and making
Yes.
things. Yeah,
Yes.
that seems very similar to me.
Yeah. And then if you look at the geography, or if you look at the geography, like Ethiopia is on the east part of Africa, and then you have India. If you look at that, the shapes of those areas, you
Yeah.
can see how maybe they were at one point, connected.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's interesting how in that part of Africa going into Pakistan and India,
Yes.
how much the culture flows over, and you don't think about things like Libya and other countries that are right around that border
Yeah.
that we don't traditionally, or Egypt and some other things that
Yeah.
you don't naturally think about being part of that African bend into India. And I
Right.
think they share a lot of similar cultures.
Yes. Yes.
I think there was like the trade.
I think that's a good point, Vin. It's a trade route,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
I mean, going back
And
like
that trade
centuries.
route was probably very fruitful in sharing that culture all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
Very interesting place to visit, I have to admit. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Mumbai was a little tough though, because it's really, you know, beautiful, but then there's just so much poverty going on there that just,
I mean, that's all of
I
India.
know.
yeah, well, and that was tough for me because I hadn't seen that until I went to Mumbai. Because in Hyderabad, it was pretty sterile and corporate. And
Yeah.
then when I went down to Mumbai and did the pearl necklace, then I was like, oh, there's some bad stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Big
That's
difference between the haves and have-nots in this town.
right. It's almost like either it's, you know, it's all poverty or it's all rich. It's like
Exactly. It was
it's
just such a
very,
huge divide.
yeah. Yeah.
Plus, they got a lot of cows running around, which really
Look at the cows. Yeah.
blew my
Yeah.
mind. There's lots of cows running around, so you know.
So a story about that,
Mhm.
when I was in India in 1981, I stayed at my grandparents' home, and
Mhm.
every morning a baby cow would come up to the house, and where my grandparents lived in Ahmedabad in Gujarat,
Yeah.
and the the doors were painted this very like a periwinkle type of blue color. You'll see it everywhere in India, but
Yeah. What was that? I never figured out
yes,
what that was all about.
yes, I don't know, but the doors are painted blue like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blue, but
It's
I
a
was like,
beautiful blue. I
what? What
love.
is the meaning of that?
I don't know if there's a meaning or if that's just, the paint that's available. It's produced
Well,
there. I don't know.
maybe it's like why we paint barns red here in America because it's the
Yes,
cheapest paint.
yes, that's a good correlation. I like that actually.
Yeah.
Barns red and the doors blue. So the
Yeah.
doors, so these blue doors, right? And this baby
Yeah.
cow would always come up to the doors and would stick its head right through the doors, open the doors, stick its head right through those doors, and it was looking for us. That baby cow was looking for us every morning
That is
for
so
us,
funny.
yeah, to give a piece of what we call is rotli. It's
Yeah.
bread.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we would give it a piece of rotli, and it would eat its rotli, and then it would go on its merry way.
That is
Yeah.
a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Oh my
Maybe it
God.
was a reincarnated relative or something. I don't know.
Right. Oh yeah. Who knows?
That's what I was
Right.
thinking.
Like, how is that different?
Probably it was probably your Aunt Esther or something, you know.
Aunt Esther. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah. Yeah.
Uncle
So
Tom, I don't know.
so did both your groups of parents grow up in India?
Yes.
Yep.
Mine
So
did.
Yeah.
so they probably came up during the eras where the caste system was pretty enforced then.
Yeah.
It's still
I
there.
don't.
I mean, that,
It's there. Yeah.
Is it still
It's
there?
there. It's
Oh, yeah.
there.
No, I got the impression that
Um.
maybe that had passed to no.
Yeah.
oh,
I think in some areas, yeah, it's still there.
especially in the rural
Oh,
areas,
wow.
I think.
Rural. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that where they're not as westernized as other cities where it
Yeah.
would be still in effect. Yeah.
If you
That's
go
right.
to the bigger
Countries have
cities,
that.
they're probably more westernized in the bigger cities.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's still there. It hasn't. It's not. I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon, in my opinion. But that's just
You
my
think it's
opinion.
just so ingrained in tradition now that it's just not going to go away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, do you think mobility through the caste system is possible? Or if you're if you're at the bottom rung, you're just stuck there.
Well, that's the
I
whole
guess.
reincarnation. That's the whole reincarnation part. Like you
Yeah.
believe that you go up in the caste system. Like if you're a good person, you keep going up. If you're a schmuck like me, you end up being a roadkill. I don't know.
You're not a schmuck.
No.
You're closer to schmuckers.
We need to invent chutney schmuckers. The problem, I think I actually saw that in India. Chutney schmuckers.
Really?
I think so. I think I've seen schmuckers there, and I thought I saw chutney schmuckers. There's definitely schmuckers. Yeah, I've actually seen schmuckers, like regular jelly schmuckers, and I thought I had seen a chutney schmuckers there too. I could be wrong, but I was like on my way out of the store, and I thought I saw that.
Isn't that just a char?
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
A char, right? It's just
Yeah,
a char.
jar,
It's just
really.
mango pickle.
Yeah.
Put
It's just-
anything in.
Yeah. I mean, they have chutney popcorn. They have masala. They do. I mean, there is. I've seen it. I've had it.
I always find it funny when I used to travel overseas, when you would see American products that had been somehow transformed for their
Yes.
world,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
always so different names, but you knew what it was because the branding, you could tell it was, it was like Schmuckers or it was something, but it had a different name and the whole flavor was completely different.
Completely changed. Yeah.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I always like going in the McDonald's when I lived in Germany because they'd always call them pommes frites. I'm like, I want some French
Oh.
fries. They're like, we don't call them.
Yeah,
Okay.
those.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Give me some of them pommes frites or whatever you got here.
Yeah.
So, Davida, tell us some of your stories about Indian food.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about the Indian food stories. So here's a story that is very okay. So right now, so when I was dating, who is now my husband, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's now my husband. I was dating him. This was back in 1999.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, let's go out. Let's go grab some food. Let's have this or that. Or let's go try this. Let's go try some different food. Like he was all about it. Like, oh yeah, let's go try this. Let's go try Ethiopian food. We'll try, Middle Eastern food. We'll go here and there. And, he was fine. He was eating it. He was loving it. He was like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm like, oh, this is great. We get to like try different food together. He likes it. We like, we do all this stuff together. So then fast forward to 2004 and we get married, right?
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2005 and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go get Indian food. He's like, yeah, I don't really like Indian food. I'm like, huh?
What?
I'm like, what? Like, so you're pretending to like all this stuff, right?
See, that
While we
sounds
were
like
dating.
me, totally.
I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
so you don't like Indian food.
Good stuff.
Okay, so
Mhm.
what was going on over there for like, 4 years we were dating. You're like loving everything. You're like, yeah, this is great. I'm like, yes, this is great. We're gonna be, no, he doesn't like. So he does not. He does not like Indian food. He does not
That
eat
has to be interesting.
Yeah. So like at home, I barely. So here's the other story that this leads into, right? It's like now I barely cook Indian food. I'll try to cook it every so often for the kids because I'm
I
like
was
I
gonna say,
want
do
them.
your kids like it?
So one of my children, so Ishani, my oldest, is 13. She's the one who will try, like she'll try everything. She'll eat, she's like, oh mom, whatever you make, I'm gonna eat it. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right? So I'm trying to make different kind of Indian food. And she'll eat it. She likes it. But my 11-year-old does not like, she's like my husband. She does not like it. Like, she's like, oh, it's too much. It's too much on her palate, right? It's like way too much.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah. So I'll try to like mild it down for her, you know, take some of the food out before I put all the spices in it, right? Yeah, so she doesn't really like it much. My son, who's 4, like he does like it. He'll eat it. So I'm like, you know, I have some hope there. So
Well, 4-year-olds are like goats. They'll eat, you know, tin cans if you give it to them.
Pretty much, yeah. But so that's what's happening in my household right now. Is like I'm trying to like cook more Indian food. I'm trying different recipes. So then I'm like, okay, let me call up my mom. I'm like, mom's gonna know. Like, okay, here's how you make it, right? Here's how you put it. Here's how you make it. You do this, that. So I asked my mom. I'm like, mom, how do you make mug? Right? We call it mug. It's a dal that's made from green split lentils. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So. So mom's like, oh, you know, you just put all the spices and that's it. You mix it and, you know, and I'm like, no, Ma, I don't know. That's why I'm like trying to like ask you exactly what goes in it. It's like, oh, you know, beta, you put the
you know.
Yeah, you know. Like, no, I don't know. So I had to like slowly, yeah. So I had to slowly extract like every ingredient. Oh my God, I think I'm almost there. I'm not sure if like I have everything yet. I'm gonna attempt. I'm gonna make another attempt at you know making this recipe. But yeah, the first time I made it was like not at all. It was not on point. I was like, no, this is not how it tastes when my mom makes it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know, and trying to recreate recipes that moms have held in their heads forever, and they say, well, you just throw a little of this and a lot of that.
Yeah. Does not
like,
work.
No. I need something written down.
Yes, I need the exact measurements and like, oh, you know, they don't measure anything. They just throw it in there, like, so.
Well, you know, my significant other, Chris, she before where she works now, she worked at a Montessori school that was in a mosque.
Okay.
In Cedar Rapids, and so most of the families were Indian or of some part of the Islamic communion, and they used to have this dinner that they put on as a fundraiser, and I'd go and help, and I watched all the older grandmas and moms working on this Indian food and things, and they said, you want to, because I love to cook, they're like, do you want to help? And I'm like, no, I'll go be the dishwasher.
Yeah, I'll help wash the dishes.
I can't handle this. I was just kind of like in my face.
Right,
but
yes.
I love meeting those ladies. You both have Indian moms, I assume.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
I think I can assume that correctly.
Yes, that's correct.
And I know, Vin, you're living with your mom.
Yeah.
It's not a dish. Hey, Pete Davidson lives with his mom. You're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Pete Davidson. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's
so
fun.
what's it like having, I'm curious if an Irish mom, grandma, or whatever is like what it was for me growing up with an Irish mom and grandma. What kind of personalities do they have?
Man, guilt. Like
that sounds like my Jewish friends.
Oh, guilt. Oh, man. Oh, remember that time that you got an F in that class? Yeah, thanks, Mom. I how can I forget that? Because you keep reminding me. Like,
oh, dear God.
What about
Yeah,
you,
isn't it?
Venu?
I think that's a universal mom thing. It's never
Yeah,
that I'm mad at you. I am so disappointed with you.
Yeah.
so disappointed.
Which is worse than you being mad at me. You're mad at me,
Exactly.
you're just gonna punish me. I'll go to my room for an hour.
And it's
Disappointed
over.
lasts forever.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna share something with you guys.
Okay.
So I was born in Hyderabad, and so when we moved to Chicago, I was about 3 years old. But before we moved here, we were still living in Hyderabad. All the women in my family, my mom, grandmothers, aunts, used to dress me up as a girl.
Oh no.
They used to drag me out to stores and make me wear the girls' clothing there.
Like a little
Yeah.
sorry or something? Oh,
No, just like
no.
regular. Well, a couple of saris, but like just regular like shorts and shirt. They made me try it on at the stores, just to make sure it would fit, and then drag me home. They would buy the clothing, drag me home, and then take pictures of them, and then they would hang them up. They would. It was all over like our flat, like our apartment. And my mom still has some of them, and she'll show them to like her friends, even now. And then apparently I would start crying at some point because they would make me wear girls' clothes. And
Yeah.
and she would bring that up all the time. She like, you used to start crying. I mean, why? Why would you do that? You know?
Why? Oh,
Yeah,
why,
I'm
why would
questioning
you cry?
why.
Oh, why
What
would
is
you
the
cry?
thinking behind that?
You made us
That's
feel
actually,
bad. Yeah, I mean,
well, that's something that like in our culture too. So Vanu and I are from different parts of India. So I'm from Gujarat.
Yeah.
But even in our culture, right?
Yeah.
They'll dress up the boys at a certain age. They'll dress them as girls, and it's considered like, I think it's considered like good fortune.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I've heard
like,
that.
then it's a rite of passage when you become a boy. You know,
Yeah.
finally, you're not. Yeah, that's well. You know, even in British culture, they used to. The boys were wore little like christening dresses and things around everywhere until they were a certain age where they got to wear short pants, and then it was a big deal when you got to wear long pants.
Yeah.
Which was really weird. I don't know. I think Greeks do that too, actually.
Oh wow. Did not know that.
Because I've seen a lot of pictures of my friends Greek when their parents, their father or somebody was there, and they're in like almost like a little lace dress. And
Yeah. Oh
that was
wow.
just sort of a tradition, rite of passage. Otherwise, I think it's just cruel. I mean, my sister dressed me up in a tutu because she just wanted a best friend, and she didn't want a boy best friend. She wanted a girl best friend. She refused to call me Tom and just called me Maria all the time. And I did it because people do different things different ways, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember
Yeah.
that.
But my father was very upset when he came in and saw me dressed as
I'm
Maria.
sure. I'm sure.
But I was 5, so, you know, he forgave me. Don't ever
But
dress up
that's-
as Maria again, son.
I'm gonna remember that. You know.
And thus ended my glorious drag career.
Probably still pull it off if you want.
I could have been the next RuPaul. I could have been the
Yes.
Irish RuPaul.
You could have called yourself the Cabbage Patch
The Cabbage Patch.
because Irish Cabbage Patch.
Oh, dang, Benny. That's a good one.
No, it wasn't. It was stupid.
So you look, now you look in the camera, directly into the camera.
That was stupid.
He's got such a cute little cherubic smile, doesn't he?
No,
He does.
no,
He does.
I actually like it when you give the death stare after you tell a joke. I think that's really fun.
I'm not funny.
You are funny.
Yeah. Posh.
You're very, very wry. You're very wry wit, dry and wry wit.
Are you
That's
drunk?
right. Yeah. I like that dry humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a very dry sense of humor that I've always appreciated. Yeah. When you tell a joke and then you do that, it always makes me laugh even harder.
Uh-huh. Am
Because
I
then you know
funny?
you're telling a joke.
Yeah.
You give that. Well, guys, we're coming up on 6 o'clock. I'm gonna have to go because I got another Zoomer call with my
Alright.
siblings.
Oh, it's past your bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah, an old guy like me, we can only
Past your
stay up
bedtime.
so long, after my 2 naps a day. Well, it was
All right,
really,
guys.
really fun talking with you all.
Yep.
Same.
Great
Kavita,
talking to you
I
guys.
find you
appreciate
to
it.
be just utterly charming.
Oh, wow.
Hey, can I
Thank
ask you
you.
one last question? The gentleman you married, is he
Mhm.
Indian also?
He's
Okay,
not
so
Indian. He's not. He's
not.
no, he's African American.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a very good friend. Her name is Sonal Patel, was her maiden name.
Yeah.
Because she's married to a man, Brian O'Sullivan. So she's Sonal O'Sullivan, which is just the funniest thing when you see
Sonal
an
O'Sullivan.
Indian named Sonal Sullivan. It's like,
I like that. Sonal O'Sullivan.
yeah, but her kids love it because they're half Irish, half Indian.
Yeah.
It's like they have both the best worlds,
Best of both. Exactly. Best of both, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is absolutely one of my dearest friends. She's so funny, but we laugh about that because I always wish her greetings on Indian holidays, and no, she sends me greetings on Indian holidays. I send her greetings on Irish holidays because
Nice. Yeah.
we're kind of both and both,
Yeah.
Sonal
That's nice.
Sullivan.
Sonal Sullivan.
She was
Nice.
Sonal Patel originally, but now she's Sonal
Yeah.
Sullivan, and people see her name and they're like, oh, that's probably a nice Irish girl, and then they meet her and she is
And then they meet and they're like, huh?
full out Indian. Yeah, she is. I loved her wedding. Someday we'll have to talk about that whole custom of
Oh,
Indian weddings
yes.
are brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
we got to
just
talk about
amazing.
that. We got to talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys have a great evening.
You
All right,
too.
thanks.
Vin,
you.
I love you, my brother.
I love you, my brother.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks for bringing this together, Vin.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for joining. And,
Well, let's get the rest of that little party you've started to collect together, because I think the more the merrier,
Yeah,
yeah,
it'll be fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty funny. I've known them for
Yeah.
a while.
Well, and they based on the messages, I think they're all really witty and funny, and so I think it'll be good. And it might be nice to have one other pasty white guy on the group.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just your token balancing act.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
We got to even it out. Yeah. Welcome to our
Welcome
world.
to our world.
Yeah, it's all one good world. All one good world.
That's right.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay, great. I'll see you guys later. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good night. Be safe.
Good night. Be safe.
Oh, yeah. It's only 6. All right.